breakdowns birth blueprints. Yeah, I said it. That breakdown you went through, that moment when everything came crashing down, the job, the relationship, the dream that wasn't your ending, that was the architect stepping in. That was life handing you a blank canvas and saying, now let's build it better. Most people look at breakdowns as failures, as tragedies, but champions, the real ones, they see it for what it is, opportunity. The moment everything fell apart, that was the moment the truth stood still. That was the moment you saw who was real, what mattered, and who you were without the titles, without the applause, without the comfort. See, you don't need a perfect plan when you got a blueprint that came from the fire. You don't rebuild from success, you rebuild from ashes, from the cold, lonely nights where you doubted yourself, cried by yourself, and still woke up to fight again. You didn't lose, you learned what to never tolerate again, you learned what foundation not to build on again. That breakdown showed you where the cracks were in your structure, it exposed the weak spots. It stripped away the fluff, and in that stripping, in that breaking, something powerful happened. You found clarity. You found your why. Now that blueprint, it's different, it's personal, it's not made from books or YouTube or what somebody else did. It's forged in your storm, it's got your fingerprints on every wall, your tears in the cement, your sweat in every beam. That's why it's unshakable. That's why this time, when you rebuild, you ain't building just a structure, you're building a fortress. A place where your character lives, a home for your values, a temple for your vision. You needed that breakdown. You needed the silence, the rejection, the closed doors. Because if it didn't fall apart, you would have kept walking in circles, stuck in survival mode, thinking that pain was normal. But that pain, it wasn't there to punish you. It was there to wake you. To remind you of the power inside you that comfort made you forget. The version of you that's rising now, that version ain't soft. That version don't chase validation. That version builds from blueprint, not brokenness. The reason you're rebuilding stronger is because you know where every wall needs to be. You know where to put your time, where to pour your love, where to invest your energy. You ain't throwing bricks at people who doubted you, you're stacking them into greatness. You ain't chasing applause, you're focused on the foundation. And that's the difference between those who stay broken and those who rise from it. People out here trying to skip the breakdown and still want the blueprint. It don't work like that. You only get the map after the collapse. You only see the path when the distractions are gone, the fake ones are gone, and you're left standing in your truth, raw and ready to rise. And that's when you hear it, that small, unshakable voice saying it's time. That's when you pick up the pieces, not to tape them back together, but to transform them, to rearrange them, to shape them into something stronger, something wiser, something that won't fall the same way twice. Breakdowns are sacred. They're your teacher. They're your mirror. They're your reminder that you are not finished. You are being refined. And when you honor the process, when you stop running from the rubble and start studying it, that's when the blueprint unfolds. That's when the architect in you rises. That's when you stop asking for rescue and start building your own way out. Every scar becomes a signature on the new design. Every setback becomes a step up. Every loss becomes a layer of strength. Keynote No. 2. Tear it down to build it right. Stop patching what's meant to be rebuilt. Too many of us are walking around trying to duct tape our destiny, trying to patch over pain, cover up cracks, pretend like the foundation ain't shaking beneath us. But let me tell you something, you can't build a mansion on broken bricks. You can't slap a new coat of paint on a collapsing wall and call it healing. At some point, you gotta stop fixing what's been failing and have the courage to tear it all down. Not just the habits, but the mindsets. Not just the routine, but the identity. Sometimes the only way to move forward is to demolish the fake version of you that was built on survival, people, pleasing, and fear. See, people don't like to talk about this part. We love talking about building. We love the glam of the comeback story, but no one wants to talk about demolition day. No one wants to stand in the ruins of their comfort zone and say, "This can't go with me where I'm headed." But that's the price of real growth. That's the cost of becoming someone who can hold greatness without dropping it. You've been settling for repairs when the truth is the structure of your life ain't aligned with your destiny. It's time to tear it down, that fake confidence, tear it down, that toxic routine that's got you busy but not productive. Tear it down, that circle of friends who clap for your mediocrity but go silent when you dream big. Tear it down, that identity you built just to survive the pain, just to make people accept you, just to feel like you belonged. Tear it down, because if it was built from fear, it will collapse under pressure. If it was built to impress, it will crumble in silence. If it was built to please, it will fall when you finally start choosing yourself. But if you tear it down and build from the truth, from the scars, from the lessons, then nothing can shake it. Not opinions, not storms, not failure, because this time it's real. The enemy of growth is comfort dressed up as success. You looking around saying, "But I'm doing okay." Okay ain't the goal. Alignment is. Purpose is. Peace is. Power is. And sometimes to get there, you've got to tear down the old blueprint, burn the fake identity, and step into the chaos of reconstruction with faith in your hands and fire in your chest. You ain't weak for starting over. You're strong for not settling. You're brave for saying, "This version of me was good for the past, but it can't carry my future." You were not born to live patched-up, hidden, or halfway lit. You were born to build boldly, and that starts the moment you stop patching the cracks and start rebuilding from the core. Keynote No. 3. Reconstruction requires isolation. Build in silence. Rise in power. Everybody wants the comeback, but don't nobody want the quiet? Everybody talks about rising from the ashes, but nobody tells you that before you rise, you gotta sit in the fire, alone, with no crowd, no applause, no social media likes. Just you, your reflection, and your decision. Reconstruction isn't a group project. It's you in the lab grinding while they forget you. It's you in the dark sharpening what the world never took time to see. Because what's rebuilt in silence stands louder than anything built for attention. When you isolate to rebuild, it ain't about cutting people off with bitterness. It's about connecting with yourself at a deeper level. You've been distracted. You've been pulled in too many directions. Everybody got access to your energy but you. And you can't rebuild a powerful version of yourself if your soul is on speakerphone. You need stillness. You need solitude. You need a season where the only voice that matters is your own and God's. That's where you hear the blueprint. That's where the vision gets clear. That's where the inner architect wakes up and says, "Let's go back to the foundation." In isolation, the masks come off. You can't pretend in front of yourself. You can't fake confidence. You can't avoid the wounds, and that's the point. That's where the real work starts, when it's just you and the truth. You start asking real questions. Why did I settle for that? Why did I hide my light? Why do I keep repeating the same cycles? And once you get those answers, you start reconstructing with purpose. You start cutting what doesn't align. You start building muscle in your mindset. You start creating patterns that support the person you're becoming, not the person you were trying to survive as. And yeah, it's lonely sometimes, it's quiet. It's uncomfortable. But don't confuse isolation with abandonment. You're not being left behind, you're being positioned. You're not losing people, you're finding yourself. You're not missing out, you're tuning in. And when you come out of that season, you're going to be different. The world won't recognize you, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be, because you didn't rebuild to be familiar, you rebuilt to be legendary. The problem is, we keep trying to build a new life surrounded by the same noise that broke us. You can't become who you're meant to be while staying accessible to who you used to be. At some point, you gotta disappear to develop. At some point, you have to walk away from the crowd so you can walk into your calling. Growth has a cost, and isolation is the down payment. So if you're in that silent season right now, if nobody's checking in, if the phone's not ringing, if the room feels empty, good. That means you're right where you're supposed to be. That means you're under construction. That means the noise is gone and now the work can begin. Keynote No. 4. Your ruins are not your residence. Don't live where you fell. Just because something happened there doesn't mean you have to stay there. Too many of us are camping in the middle of our collapse, decorating the disaster and calling it home. That failure, that heartbreak, that betrayal, it may have knocked you down, but it doesn't have the right to define your address. You don't belong in the rubble. You don't belong in the regret. You don't belong in the version of yourself that quit. That place was a moment, not your identity, a scene, not your story. Stop building furniture in a mindset that was never meant to be permanent. Stop waking up every day rehearsing what broke you. Yeah, you fell, but you fell forward. And the real ones, the real warriors, they don't stay fallen. They rise, they crawl if they have to, they build again. They remind the world that broken doesn't mean buried, that ruin doesn't mean erased. That collapse doesn't mean conclusion. It means a new chapter's about to be written, but you gotta pick up the pen. You've got people trying to visit your past, and you keep opening the door. You keep letting yesterday shape today. But if you want to rebuild, you've got to change your location, not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You gotta move out of guilt, move out of bitterness, move out of the neighborhood called what could have been. You're not who you were in that moment. You're not defined by your weakest day. That was a season, not your sentence. The ruins may be familiar, but they are not fruitful, and anything that doesn't produce growth is holding you back. You're planting seeds in dry soil, wondering why you're stuck. It's time to shift. It's time to say, I'm done living in the memory of my lowest point. Because as long as you live there, you'll think that's the best it ever gets. But the best is not behind you. It's ahead of you. You don't find purpose in the pit by staying in it. You climb out and use it as proof. People will try to label you by what fell apart. They'll try to remind you of what didn't work. But listen, just because the building crumbled doesn't mean the builder did. You still got vision. You still got breath in your body. You still got fight in your spirit. And as long as there's life, there's construction. There's power. There's possibility. But only if you refuse to pitch your tent in yesterday's ashes. You ain't homeless, you're just between what broke and what's about to be built. And the sooner you stop identifying with your ruins, the faster you step into your restoration. Your comeback doesn't start when you're ready, it starts when you decide the ruins won't be your residence anymore. When you stand up, even shaking, even bruised, and say, this ain't where my story ends. Keynote No. 5. Muscle grows from resistance. Pressure is the path to power. Everybody wants strength, but nobody wants struggle. Everybody wants to be unbreakable, but nobody wants to feel the weight. Listen to me, if there's no resistance, there's no growth. If there's no pressure, there's no power. You don't build muscle sitting in comfort. You don't develop resilience walking through ease. The strongest version of you will never be found in the absence of pain. It'll be born right in the middle of it. Every tear, every loss, every setback, that's the weight room for your soul. Life is the gym, and pressure is your trainer. It's heavy, it's uncomfortable, but it's making you stronger every single rep, every single day. You didn't know what was inside you until life pressed on you, until things didn't go your way, until the plan fell apart, and instead of folding, you adapted, you pushed, you grew. Don't run from the resistance, respect it. Because every time you show up anyway, every time you lift what was meant to crush you, you expand. See, you've been praying for strength, but avoiding the process. You've been asking for growth, but dodging the weight. But pressure is what introduces you to the version of you that's been buried under comfort and fear. That resistance, that's the test, that's the proving ground, and champions don't skip the pain, they use it. They understand the more it stretches them, the more capacity they gain. You think the struggle is in the way, but the truth is the struggle is the way. You don't level up when everything is easy. You level up when everything inside you says quit, but you grind anyway. You get stronger when you keep going without applause. You get stronger when you push through without validation. You get stronger when you face what scares you and keep showing up with faith. Pressure will show you who you are. It will separate the hype from the real. It will take the fake confidence and rip it to shreds, and in that tearing, you'll find truth. You'll find a strength that's not based on how things look, but on how deep your roots go. That's the kind of muscle that doesn't flex, it endures. That's the kind of power that doesn't shout, it shows up. So don't pray the pressure away, lean into it. Let it mold you, let it stretch you. Let it prepare you for what you asked for, because the blessing you're chasing will crush the version of you that avoids the weight. But the version you're building, the one forged under fire, that one's ready. That one can carry the dream, that one can stand in storms and still shine, because real strength isn't built in comfort, it's built in resistance. Keynote No. 6. Rebuild with relentless standards. Don't come back the same, come back unrecognizable. If you're gonna rebuild, don't you dare rebuild on average. Don't you dare come back as the same watered down, play it safe version of yourself. This ain't just about bouncing back, this is about coming back unrecognizable. Stronger, sharper, more focused, more disciplined. You didn't go through hell just to return to who you were before the fire. That version couldn't carry the weight of what's coming. That version couldn't handle the pressure. That version cracked, and now you've been given the chance to build again, this time with standards that don't bend. You gotta be relentless with what you accept. Relentless with your time. Relentless with your vision. Stop entertaining people who only knew the old you. Stop making space for energy that doesn't elevate. When you rebuild, you protect your peace like a fortress. You guard your goals like treasure. You stop explaining your mission to people who ain't qualified to walk in your shoes. This is a different kind of comeback. This is the kind that demands discipline, not emotion, execution, not excuses. The foundation of your rebuild has to be integrity, excellence, non-negotiables. You don't have time to compromise. You don't have room for distractions. The new version of you has to be built with intention, with purpose in every habit, every word, every move. No more half effort. No more showing up when it's convenient. The pain already cost you too much to build sloppy now. Every brick you lay has to reflect your standards. Your mornings built different. Your grind built different. Your circle built different. You've got to move like your future depends on every decision, because it does. There's no such thing as neutral now. You're either building the version of you that dominates or the one that disappears when life gets loud. Choose wisely. Relentless standards mean you no longer entertain weak excuses. You don't reason with laziness. You don't negotiate with doubt. You wake up every day and look that mirror in the eye and say, we don't go backward. We don't lower the bar just to make others comfortable. We rise, and if they can't handle that, let them watch from the bottom. This rebuild is sacred, it's personal. It's fueled by everything you lost, everything they said you couldn't do, and everything you know you were born to become. The comeback version of you ain't for show, it's for war. And if you want that next level, if you want to walk in purpose, in power, in peace, you better raise your standards like your life depends on it. Because it does.